Hi, and welcome back to the...
Save that one. Save. Good.
Restart.
Shut up and sit down.
I got on my bike.
We've got a great show lined up for you.
That is Champ Bailey, one of the best in the business.
To have a name like Champ kind of says it all.
Gonna put my helmet on. I got on my bike. I know my signal.
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Duren. Pro tip, go listen to the outside. You're welcome.
I got my cards and my spokes, and I'm waving to the folks who are uptown. Uptown, waving to the folks who are uptown.
Dude, sucking at something? First step towards being sort of good at something.
Riding on my bike.
Evan Price for the win. Right down the middle.
My signal bright. Riding on my bike.
My name is Matt Legrand, and on this channel, we are always talking about biking.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I'm Jake Von Duren. I'm here with Lance friggin' Hepler.
Lance friggin' Hepler.
What's up,
For
friggin'?
your listening pleasure.
For your listening pleasure.
And it is a
Welcome.
pleasure.
It is a pleasure. How are you guys?
What a
We're
friggin'
good.
pleasure. Yep. To his left, Mr. Matt
What's
Legrand.
up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys are looking rough.
Also true.
Looking rough today.
Yeah,
It's the truth. Truth hurts.
not that pretty.
Aw.
It sometimes is the case.
Rough is better than the alternative.
Than not being seen.
Exactly. Awesome. Welcome back, guys.
We're here.
Podcast
Let's do it.
271.
Oh,
Wow. We got to do something big for 300.
Yeah.
We need a live edition.
I think we need to
a
do
live show.
275-ish, maybe. Like
Do a
in a
live.
month, do a live little giddy up, which
That would be good.
will be fun. And I also would like to do another one once we get to the Tour de France.
Oh, yeah, we should do that.
That'd be fun.
If it's in June, I'm going to be gone for most of June.
Where are you going?
Where are you going now, dude? Stop going places.
I'm going to Unbound.
Okay.
I'm doing Unbound at the beginning of June. Then I'm doing BWR Asheville.
Okay.
The week after that.
Drive.
And then I'm coming back and doing the Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder for 5-day gravel race.
Are you driving to
And
all of
I'm driving
these?
to all of these.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
So-
That'll be a good road trip.
Yeah.
Bring in the family and the dog, or
Just the wife and the dog.
wife and the dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
The rest of those kids can freaking fend for
They
themselves.
do not want to be in the van.
They don't.
No.
Breaking news, guys. There is now what is referred to as the Big Six.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
This just came
The
out
Big
this week.
Six. I don't know if that's a thing or if it's just somebody's thing, but it's a thing kind of now that we're going to talk about
It's
in our
not the
topic
Big
for
Three anymore. It's now the Big Six.
the Big Six, because someone wasn't in the Big
If
Three.
you're not in the big number, that X whatever that number, you just keep expanding the number. You see,
like-
until I'm in the big
Until-
4,733,000. I'm in.
N plus one, but he changed it to N plus three, but N equals the number of like world superstars in the cycling world. So it's now the Big Six. Do we need to change it to the Big Nine or the Big 12?
However, the number is until I get in.
Until Matt gets in.
Pretty. I think that would be a big number.
The Big 1.5 million.
Yeah, it would be a big number before I got into the mix. There's a lot of decent cyclists out there.
Lance, you want to tell us what the Big Six is?
Okay, well, this was something that Remco Evenepoel said in an interview where he said it's not easy to be one of those six. We have to work hard to stay at this highest level. And he basically called himself one of the six best cyclists in the world, including Wout van Aert, Mathieu van der Poel, himself, Remco Evenepoel, Tadej Pogacar, Primoz Roglic, and Jonas Vingegaard. So he said amongst those that he was one of the big six.
This is so unlike him to be
to speak
a
out the side of
jackass.
his mouth.
Where's Evan
we need
Price?
Evan to
Where's
like.
Evan Price? Evan Price is a huge fan.
He hates
He's a
Remco.
huge.
He not fond of Remco, but
But and as much of a jackass as he is, he's good. He's
Remco?
Yeah,
He's
he's
got
really
some
good.
promise.
Promise.
he won the world
He's
championship.
got a world championship.
Yeah,
At that point,
last
you're
year.
past promise. I think it's
Are you-
execution.
Are you the best if you can't win a Grand Tour? I mean, granted, he's going to be starting in the Giro a week from Saturday, and he's got a pretty good chance at winning that. But and even that, if you win the Giro or the Vuelta, are you still the best if you can't win the Tour?
I think if you can win the Giro or the Tour, and you can win one-day stages, and you've got a World Championship jersey, then you're potentially in the Big Six. That's my hot take.
Okay.
Happy to argue about it.
What if your name is Tom Pidcock and you were omitted from this list? Why couldn't it be the Big Seven?
I think okay, so we were talking about this earlier. I think it shouldn't be a Big Six. I mean, that's straightforward, right? I mean, it should be there's some big time GC guys, and of course we're talking about like basically two people there, Pogačar, Vingegaard.
Yeah.
I mean that's it.
Yeah.
I think Remco would be one of the top 6 if we were talking about GC people.
But he hasn't squared off with those two in a Grand Tour yet. Correct?
Yeah.
No.
He is not. But Remco is still young. He's 22.
Yeah, 21, 22.
23.
And then I also think that there's like a 1-2 punch when you were talking about cyclocross people or one-day cyclists. And I think that Pidcock maybe would be talked about in that circle where it's like, hey, these guys, if you're having a cyclocross race and these 3 people show up, it's a hell of a race.
23 years old.
Probably any 2 of those 3 that it could show up. If Pidcock went and showed up against, I don't know, some MVP or something, is that still a big race? I think it is.
Yeah. Okay. But during the cross season this year, Pidcock lined up with Wout and Vanderpool 5 times and never beat either of them.
But he was second quite a few times.
Third.
Yeah, I don't
was
think
he always third.
Both of those guys were there. He always got third. Or
if they were both there. Yeah.
Really? He didn't get second? I feel like maybe there was just one of those guys wasn't there or something like that. I know he won some big races.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The only reason why he's got some stripes on his sleeve is because neither
didn't show up.
MVP or Wout were at that particular
so he
World
won
Championship
the
race.
Cyclocross World Championships, not
22.
in 22 that was in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and Wout and MVP.
Who do you think the
weren't there.
third best cyclocross athlete is in the world?
It's got to be Pidcock.
Pidcock.
I think so
Ellie
too.
Easterbit's probably close, but I don't think he can
Claire
hold.
Hansinger.
Yeah, Claire Hansinger.
We're just fans. But no, I think he's but if he's that dominant of a third, then you could say like, okay, well, top 3.
Yeah.
If you're the big 3, he would be I wouldn't think that was a strange thing to say. If you said big 3, you're probably thinking about him.
But that's off road too. That's not,
I know.
that's not road racing. I mean, and he did win the Olympic mountain bike gold medal, but that was because Wout did not. He doesn't mountain
bike race, and
and
MVP went ass over tea kettle.
Crashed because he
Yep.
didn't put his dropper down on the big drop, and he went over his bars and broke his back or something like that.
Do you think Pidcock would be in the Big 6 if there is such a thing as a Big 6?
Well, of that list, who would you take over him? Or him over, rather? I mean,
Vingegaard, because he's not really a one-day guy, maybe?
It's just such a weird thing.
But you can't do that because Vingegaard's won the Tour twice? No.
Once.
But he was on the podium,
Yeah.
I think again, there are categories of riders. That's the sport. It is what it is, even though there's some people that are freaks of nature that can kind of blend between lots of different types of riders. But there are Grand Tour riders, there are one-day riders, there are cyclocross riders.
And then there's guys that can do it all, though.
There are, but they're
okay.
And let's get into that.
Okay, so let's start.
Okay.
Who are the best 3 Grand Tour riders right now?
Grand Tour riders.
Pogačar,
Vingegaard,
Roglic.
I think that's probably a very good.
Okay.
Number.
Who are the best 3 one-day riders or monument riders?
The other 3.
Wout,
MVP. And then
Vanderpool, Pidcock. You got to put in that.
There's the third one. The third spot is tricky.
The third spot's tricky.
Yeah.
And it's probably,
unfortunately,
Evenepoel.
Yeah.
It's probably Remco.
Maybe.
Although he didn't do the races that he didn't do the monuments.
It would depend
that
largely
Wout,
on the course, right? Like if it's a hilly enough course, then he's going to be a favorite for sure.
Well, he skipped the other. Remco skipped the other monuments because he was training and prepping for the Giro.
Okay.
I think that was the plan.
Have they announced if he's going to go to the Tour?
No, they
I don't
haven't.
think he is,
I don't
but I
think
could
he
be
is
wrong.
Remco?
Yeah, I mean, do
No,
you
I
think
don't-
they're going to just try
I
and
don't
let him
think
get
he's
some GC experience or
Yeah.
just with some Grand Tour experience
Yeah.
by going to the Giro and then
Yes.
maybe next year if he does well?
I think so.
And do you think he'll crack? Do you think he can?
There's a good chance
3
he'll crack.
weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks. We'll see. And he could come. He could double back into the Vuelta.
Yeah, what was it? The Tour of Oman or something like that? It was one of those in the
he
Middle
crack?
East somewhere where it was like a multi-day stage race. I think it was like 5 days or something like that, and he fell apart at the end.
I think these athletes, it's less and less likely that they're going to crack as we get better at nutrition and better at monitoring nutrition and all of the blood glucose monitoring that they do at this level. They shouldn't crack at this point. I'm not saying that that's a good thing because I do think that
think it
people
had a
should
little bit to do with him
being young.
and not making smart decisions. I think he went a little too hard a couple times, tried to do a little too much,
Yeah.
didn't wait for teammates, and I think ultimately that came back and bit him in the butt.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think is he in the big six? His self-described. I think it all depends on like what category of rider we're talking about.
Yeah.
If it's yeah, I mean I would put him in the big six of GC guys because I do think he's that good, but he hasn't technically proved it for that at that level yet for sure.
He's got so much promise and so much potential, and he's only 23 years old. And
Humble.
Now, 2 years ago, it's when he had his crash.
he had a bad crash.
Went over like a bridge crossing or something like that, was down in the bushes, and he was pretty hurt. And that's when we had...
It was like a 15, 18-foot fall onto his back.
Yeah. And we had a little bit of controversy, them pulling some stuff out of his jersey pockets that were his quote-unquote finishing bottles. We never did get a conclusion to that, did we?
No.
We don't know exactly what that was.
Kind of went away.
A trainer just put it in their pocket and that
Something
was
like that, yeah. But you would
But-
think that like the UCI, they would want to look into that.
Well, if they don't have the bottle to test, then
But don't we know what's in it? I mean, it's caffeine.
it's probably caffeine. It's probably
Baking soda.
it probably
some
it probably
lactic
is.
acid buffer.
Yep, and it's,
Bicarbonate, yeah.
and it's
And-
probably the whatever the other big thing is the
What's the HMMN stuff? The
I don't know why I'm
Crack
blanking.
cocaine?
No,
Speed? Greenies?
it should be greeny. It's what's it called? It's the stuff that
like when you don't eat enough food and your body goes ketones. Thank you.
Oh,
ketones.
Thank you. I was
Yeah.
like, I couldn't
It
think of
probably
the
had
word
ketones
ketone
in it too,
I
yeah.
would expect that to be part of like the finishing cocktail,
yeah.
whatever.
I don't know.
And it's probably works. I've never tried it, but
Ketones are legal, and
all that stuff is legal.
most of the teams use them now.
Yep.
Almost all of them use them.
We should ask Evan if he's tried it and if he's seen any
Ketones?
benefits to it, because I know that's a triathlon thing, and these are sponsored athletes. They're sponsored by companies that are producing ketones, so they're going to talk about it and like, you need to try this. Like it's a branding thing, and if it's fair in my mind, if it's part of the rules, it's fair game.
But there could be other things in there too. Because
There could. Who knows?
why would he be so quick to get that out of his jersey and put it in his pocket and make sure that it's not on his person when they're taking him to the
Because
hospital?
think a couple years ago that was not as well known, and I think people don't like the idea of a finishing cocktail, and it wouldn't really make his persona online more positive.
Or you just say, yeah, go test it. You'll see the things in there, and that's commonly used in the UCI racing. And
You could say that.
And there's nothing illegal about it. That's what we use. It's a part of the game.
That'd be great if they said that, but that's not what the team say. They don't. They kind of are hush hush about anything.
Well, yeah,
like
if
that.
you've got some sort of secret concoction, some like ingredient list that works extremely well, you don't want to share that information. But for sake of just dispelling any kind of like controversy, turn the bottle over, let them test it, but just kindly ask the UCI, please don't like
Tell
disclose what the
our
percentages
formula
are.
is.
Yeah. Just like you're not going to find the secret formula for Coca-Cola, you're maybe not going to find that as well. But if someone says, we tested Coca-Cola and it is clean, it does not have cocaine in it anymore. I mean, as part of its ingredient list, you're good. And that's all you need to know. Then there you go. Moving on.
Looking at his results this year, he did the Vuelta a San Juan International. So he did that first stage race. He ended up 7th overall. Then he did the UAE Tour.
Yep, maybe that's the one I was thinking
and
of.
he won that.
Wait, no, there was another one that he...
And then he did the Volta a Catalunya, and he was 2nd in that.
Was it to... oh, crap, what's one of the brothers? from Ineos.
It was to Roglic.
Oh, was it Roglic that bit him? Oh, that's when he was getting all pissy with Roglic because Roglic wasn't pulling through and taking poles, and he didn't have to. You know what I mean?
He didn't have to. He sat on his wheel and then out sprinted him. Roglic did a couple times.
Good job, Roglic. I think we all like Roglic. I think we like him more.
Just like quiet and humble and subtle and the absolute opposite of Remco.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Can you imagine if like Remco, because he's gotten under Wout's skin before. They've had some stuff happen because they both raced for Belgium, and there was a race, I can't remember which one it was, but there was something.
Probably one of the World Championships. Yes.
And Evenepoel did some stuff that really pissed off Wout. Could you imagine if Wout really got seriously upset at him? I mean, Wout's what, 6'2", 170 something?
Right.
Emco's 5'7" and 134 pounds.
Yeah.
He could drop kick him in the next week.
Yeah, he's
It's like the little brother. They need to smack him around a little bit. They need to haze him. That's what they need to do.
we need some good old fashioned hazing.
That's a good thing still, right?
No.
I don't know. Is there anybody else that we're not thinking of? I mean, does this need to be a Big Ten conversation? And is it
Big
even
Ten conversation? If Remco had said that, he considers it, I don't know, you got to phrase things when you're talking to the media a little bit smoother. If he had probably referenced himself as one of the top guys and not put a number on it, that would have probably been okay. Top 10 would have been better. Saying he's one of the top 6 guys was probably not the smoothest thing to say.
The quote is, it's not easy to be one of those 6. And I'm wondering if he got kind of teed up by a reporter.
Maybe he did.
And said, hey, you're probably one of the best 6 cyclists in the world, including such and such and such and such. What do you think about that? So I don't know what the whole interview was, but he could have been teed up for that.
I bet you're right.
Yeah.
I bet that's just how, I feel like that's the thing with media right now. It's
right.
like
Until you show me that, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that those are his words, and he owns that 100%. And I'm sure that he referred to it as the Big 6.
Yeah, I bet you're right. I bet he was teed up for that, and then they're like, "Whoops, we just conveniently left out the part where he was teed up." Right? Put him in there, making him look like a jackass.
Is there anybody else though that needs to be added to said list? And when I think of this list too, a second part to this is like, if you're going to call these guys like the biggest riders or the best riders in the world, wouldn't that kind of lead you to think that they should be quasi interchangeable in terms of like who's going to win, and there's going to be a little bit more parity there in terms of like who's winning what, where, when, why, and how. But I mean, you could boil that down to 3 riders, and they're going to win the vast majority of everything. Correct?
I mean, how else do you
know?
That's why you have to talk about different types. There's one-day rides, there's grand tours, there's week-long tours, there's off-road, there's
So once you got the likes of Van der Poel and Van Aert getting to a little bit older stage in life, and maybe they're not going to be quite as explosive, or maybe they're not going to be going out and doing every single spring classic at the level that they're doing, and maybe they're going to back off on the cyclocross, and maybe their endurance engine is what has the most to gain. Could those guys go drop the weight that they need to drop, focus on becoming more of a GC rider, and then mixing it up with the likes of a Vingegaard or a Pogacar?
Just for fun, I'm going to say no, because I think that'll be a disagreement that we could have, because I don't think that it's very rare to see a GC guy. I can't think of really any in history besides like Lance Armstrong or something that are just like not tiny people. They're all very lean, very
Miguel Indurain. Was a big guy.
He's big,
but he was also dope to the gills, just like Armstrong was.
Yeah, and who's to say that these guys aren't dope to the gills? It freaked me out a little bit when Wout won that Von 2 stage. This was year before last, I think.
2 years ago.
That was like weird.
Yeah,
it was suspiciously weird.
It's not.
So I mean, like that, I'm like, okay, well, maybe he could be a GC guy.
But then the next day, I guess after he won the
then he won a sprint.
he won on the Champ d'Elysées.
Yeah,
he won the final stage in the Tour de France as well in a field sprint.
Yeah,
but I think the day after Mont Ventoux, he let out Vingegaard on the final climb, and like I mean, like, and cracked himself just leading out Vingegaard on the final climb. With like 5Ks to go, he pulled off and stopped and put a foot down for a minute.
Yeah, I remember
before
that.
he finished riding.
Because we were like, dang, he's going to go the whole
He's
way.
going the whole way, and he's like,
And then
no,
he finally
was
cracked.
completely working just for
Vingegaard was good
Yeah,
to finish.
yeah.
So could Vingegaard could he have just won the Ventoux stage had he wanted to? It's hard to know.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
But man, it's surprising how good those guys are, even at like mountain stages.
Right? Yeah.
Shouldn't be that good. They should not be that good at mountain stages.
If you start cracking or breaking down the numbers, I mean, Wild's been able to get through an entire tour.
Yes.
Just fine.
couple times.
And able to
Several
win
times.
on the Champs-Élysées and on the final day.
Yes.
And in the same year, won a TT, won a mountain stage, won
Yes.
sprint stages.
Yes.
He's an absolute monster.
And a mountain stage.
And if you look at his FTP, which is what
I think it's
what,
in
like
thousands.
460 or something like that?
No,
465?
Add a zero.
He's 170 pounds. If he were to trim down to 155, 160 pounds, that FTP is going to come down. But if you start to still crunch the watts per kilogram numbers, the numbers start to make sense that he very well could hang.
Here's the thing. He's probably very, very, very lean, very short on calories to get where he is at 170.
Yep.
Maybe.
I'm sure that his diet is very tight.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm not saying that he's carrying like a 5 pounds of chub on him that he could lose, but
Yeah,
he
he's not
could
like
No,
like
he
me,
would
man.
have to lose like,
muscle
muscle
mass,
mass.
and that's where
Yeah.
the FTP comes down. But his aerobic motor is still going to be there. That's not going to suffer if you drop the weight. It really comes down to making sure that you're eating plenty to maintain that, to be able to perform physically, but not gain weight. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think he would really have to suffer to drop
He would.
to get to the GC spot. I mean, and it'd be one of those things where he'd be like, in 2025, I want to try for GC. I'm going to be starving myself until then. Like that would be like a long-term thing that he really, really wants to do. Which has he ever said anything like that, or is
No,
he like, I'm going to win the green jersey again?
He's been asked before, and he has said, I would have to lose, 5
10
kilos
pounds,
I'd have to lose 5 kilos of muscle to be a GC guy. And what would be the point of that when he has a teammate in Vingegaard and Roglic?
Yep.
And Vingegaard is 5 years younger than Wout.
And just signed a contract through 2027.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what would be the motivation for that? It would change the way he raced everything else.
Yep.
I mean, look at
And he might do all of that and get nothing for it.
right.
So I think the smarter move is like I've already got a career full of wins.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
just
for-
need to keep doing what I'm doing.
For Jumbo Visma too, it makes no sense for them to say, yeah, well, we're going to have you go out and try a GC just for sake of trying. Granted, that would put a lot of eyeballs on that, but you've got too much other firepower to be able to do that already. And then you slot him in for the green jersey.
And he's still super happy winning stages.
And
and
you
the
know
green
what?
jersey.
He's still getting paid just the same.
Yes.
There's no
So-
shortage of cash there
No.
for him. He's safe in that department.
But as a competitive cyclist, you got to think at some point in time, like let's say he clicks over 30 years, and that's where maybe a little bit of that high end, that sprint maybe starts to taper off just a little bit, like you've seen in the likes of Peter Sagan.
Yeah.
He's 32 right now, and he's getting ready to hang him up. He's on his Grand Swan Song tour.
He is.
Yeah. It starts to go away, and he's going to start to lose that. So if he still has some bullets in the chamber to try something different, to maybe mix it up and try and drop those pounds, change up the strength training routine, maybe drop the cyclocross, maybe cut back a little bit on a little bit of the spring stuff and focus on more of the shorter stage races.
That would be interesting if he decided to do that. It's a question of whether
I think he
there'd
would
be
be-
the motivation to do
Yeah.
that, because he's on top of the freaking world right now.
Yeah, it sure is. But I mean, how many times over do you want to repeat what he's doing right now? Granted, we want to watch that. That's fantastic. And I want to see him do that year in, year in, year out for the next, 3, 4, 5, 6 years.
But for him, would he like,
Yeah,
okay,
right. Let's
I've done
try
this
something
crap
different.
1,000 times. Let's do GC.
And if
I
you
don't know, man.
if he's got somebody protecting him, as opposed to him being like the super lieutenant that's doing these crazy lead outs, or all right, you go today, well, we want you to win this mountaintop stage because you can, just to show the world. I mean,
If he wins another mountaintop stage, I'm gonna be shocked. I know I was shocked before. I'd still be shocked if he wins another one. That may be it. He may only win like one Mont Ventoux stage.
Yeah.
That's just weird.
It's
so weird.
he's got a
I don't see it happening.
ginormous motor. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean, he's a beast. There's no doubt about that. It's just
I don't know if he could do it multiple times, or if there was the weeks where they're up in the Alps and they're having to do this day in and day out and staying with a group. But have we ever seen him like fully protected?
No.
And being towed along to save?
Probably sprint stages. I'm sure his team takes care of him for some safety reasons.
I mean,
but not.
There's people that have bullets in the
stage.
chamber, and then there's him that's like
people.
Got a full magazine of bullets. It's just like that guy. He's nuts, and it would absolutely destroy my feeling for cycling if we ever found out that he wasn't clean.
Yes, you're right.
Sorry, I doubt he's clean.
You think so, huh?
Well, my theory has been for a while that there's something going on that we're not fully aware of. Maybe it's just like something that they're taking that's just like, hey, we've figured out how to buffer and the ketones, and it's just like the combination of this makes for lots of records, even in compared to the era of EPO, or they're on something that is not testable or whatever, and it may not even be illegal because it might be some sort of derivative of EPO that's not. That they found to not be illegal.
As history would prove, the dopers have always been 2 steps ahead of the testers. So who knows what they have? And if they don't even know what they're testing for and they're using stuff that's causing certain things to happen in the body that create these superhumans on bikes, then...
It seems likely that like those top 20 guys are doing something.
Yeah, not clean.
It seems likely, but... Just like in the Lance Armstrong era, I don't want to believe it. I want to believe that it's
more
God-given talent and hard work.
It's more fun just to watch and enjoy.
Right.
We are
Ignorance
looking
is
at
bliss. That's my whole life plan.
Quite a few once-in-a-generation cyclists right now. I mean, can you...
Yeah.
I mean, there's always been great cyclists, but if you look at what they're doing on bicycles and the volume of the people that are doing that and the records that they're breaking... day in and day out, it does make you kind of scratch your head a little bit.
Yeah.
One of those little things that make you say,
They like to say, well, this is modern training techniques. I don't think that's it. I don't think that's enough to be like, and we can break all the EPO records.
Right. It seems unlikely, right?
Yeah. I'm guessing that there's rule breaking going on. There's some
Please no.
There's some gray area, and then there's some red area, and then they're doing both of those. Kind of a reddish, grayish color.
So you're saying you're suspicious?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Any closing thoughts on this, you guys?
Okay, I'm going to say Remco is one of the big 6, but big 6 is stupid. It's the big 3.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that there is cheating in cycling. There's cheating in running for sure. The London Marathon was quite fast this year.
Oh, yes, it was.
Like 2:01 or something.
And the dude ran the second half marathon
59?
faster than the first half marathon.
59 is a pretty hell of a performance.
That's a hell of a second half of a marathon.
And then
59.
I think that it's a great half marathon.
And it was the second half
of London. And then I think there's cheating in triathlon, and we just had an American triathlete, Colin, what's his last name?
Chartier.
Yeah, Chartier. He just got busted for EPO.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about it. We'll do another episode.
Comes in. I'm going to say that the big 6 is not the big 6; it's the big 4. And Evenepoel, sorry, buddy, you're not in that list.
Who's the fourth?
Wout, MVP, Pogačar, Jonas Vingegaard.
I think so.
No, Roglic.
Except
Vingegaard seems to be better than Roglic.
He's the man.
Yeah, you're right.
But here's the thing. I feel like those 4, I agree with you, but you would divide those in 2 and be like, these are your GC guys. The big 1-2 punch of the GC guys. The big 1-2 of the one day / cyclocross / do everything.
You got half classics, half Grand Tour guys.
Sure.
And I think that the 2 guys that are in the classics category, I think they have the potential to go be GC guys in the Grand Tours.
Well, MVP, would he ever be a GC guy? He's probably a little bit leaner than
He's leaner,
Wout.
But it's the same issue. You'd have to lose some muscle mass.
He's so powerful. It's so ridiculous.
So Lance Armstrong, and this is a terrible example, but he started as kind of a one-day guy, right? Won the world championships.
Actually, not a terrible example, but I agree.
And then he got testicular cancer, and he
Lost.
went through chemo, and he lost not all, but a significant portion of his upper body muscle mass.
Yeah.
And so now he came out skinny.
Yeah.
And he's a GC guy.
Think about...
And dope.
He was still big. He was still pretty big even at that For a GC guy, he was kind of on the big side
Yeah.
when he was winning and winning. And
But he
winning.
was like 20 pounds muscle mass less than
he
before
was,
the
yeah.
chemo. Yeah.
The fact that these guys race cyclocross at such a high level and are some of the best cyclocross racers to ever live on this planet,
Yep.
if they quit racing cyclocross and they quit training for that, they would lose a lot of that upper body mass, because that is very, very important to have that upper
It
body
is.
strength for cyclocross.
Yes.
I stand by this. If they changed up their strength training regimen, they changed up their diets, and they started training a little bit differently, both of them could lose 5 to 10 pounds pretty easily.
Yeah.
And I think that they could be formidable components to this whole GC talk.
I think it's harder to gain muscle. I think it's also hard to lose muscle. I think I think it'd be it would be a very significant effort for them to get where they would need to be for GC. Be interesting. I think it'd be a 2-year effort.
Yeah.
I think that Wout has a little bit more potential in that category. I think he's a better time trialist. I think that he's probably got a little bit bigger of a motor, and if he could get down to the same weight as Van der Poel, I think he's got a bigger FTP, and I think that he would be somebody that you would have to put into that list that could potentially go in there. Now, could he go up against a Pogačar? Let's say in 5 years, he decides he wants to try and do this, and in 5 years, Pogačar's going to be 27 and 28, and then Van der Poel's going to be 32, or Van Aert's going to be 32. I don't know if he can beat him. He would need a spectacular team behind him, and he would have to definitely have that watts per kilo just completely dialed in. I don't know.
It's been fun to see those guys mix it up on those one-day races.
Oh, yeah.
You've got like a GC guy mixing it up with one-day guys and still doing great.
The monuments were fantastic this year.
Yeah.
They were fun to watch.
It's been a good year.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All right.
we'll put a
Interesting topic.
we'll put a pin in that until we get closer to
It's
Le Tour
there's gonna
or
be so
to the
much-
Giro. The Giro's coming up
Giro.
in a week and some change.
Yeah.
So
We should do like a Giro picks at some point. We should do have a little bet going. We need Evan for that too.
It's either Remco or Roglic. That's it.
You don't have any other choices.
Nope.
There are no choices.
Those are the two choices.
we'll get into it.
Remco
You
and
have two
Roglic.
choices.
sure
Choose wisely.
Evan's got some crazy person up his sleeve.
Yeah.
For those
Egan Bernal. That Evan will throw out Egan Bernal. I don't know why Evan likes him so much.
He did come out and say,
His goal is to make it to the Tour.
yeah, I just want to make it to the Tour. He goes, I've already won one, so, and I'm alive right now,
Yeah.
and that's a victory for me.
I kind of like it. Kinda like
It's
the guy.
cool that he said that. He's like, quit putting pressure on me to be
A GC
a
guy.
GC
again.
guy.
Yeah.
I just want to make it there. Yeah.
Yeah. For those playing along at home, Evan will be in studio with us in I think about 2 weeks. He's
Yes.
currently traveling to Florida, if I'm not mistaken, for a it's not a PTO. Is it Ironman branded or is it PTO branded?
I have no idea.
Maybe it used to be PTO branded, but it's a half Ironman that he's doing. He's got
even
back-to-back
know if
race
it's-
weekends.
I don't know if it might be neither
I was
of those.
chatting with him at the duathlon, the Spring Classic, and he was kind of giving me the lowdown. I think that he said one of the races that he's going to do used to be a PTO race, but they kind of lost some of their funding, and now I think it might be Ironman branded.
Okay.
Anyway, long story short, he's got back-to-back race weekends, and then he'll be back in town and wanted to come in and recap all of his racing, and he wanted
races.
to talk about some triathlon cheaters, and yeah, I'm sure that we can pick his brain and see what his picks are, because
I'm
he's
sure.
always got something that's interesting.
He'll Rimco. He'll pick Rimco every time.
Come every time.
Every time. No, he hates Rimco. Okay.
Awesome. All right. Well, we
What are we doing next? News?
can do the news next. I think we had another topic, but I think we might just kind of talk about that a little bit in the news very briefly. And if it's something that we want to expand upon later, we can do it
We can
another
always do a
time.
podcast, yeah.
So, but before we get into the news, let's do some backpedaling.
Okay.
There's been some bike racing going on. Matt, you
I have
did
not
how
bike-
many bike races?
I had all of them.
All of them?
No, 0 bike racing. I think I've mostly. I have to like look back at my week. I don't have it in front of me, but I have been running like every day,
Nice.
just a little bit of running every day, and swimming a lot, and biking very little. I think I've been biking only to test like bike computers. So
Well, sun's out.
sun's out, guns out.
Get out on your bike.
Get out on that bike, people.
Come out and flog with us tonight, Matt.
I am the only parent for a while. Kristen, my wife, went to Michigan, and so I am not.
Oh, and you got
gonna
a sick one at home, kind of. Or- yeah. Fun times.
Yep.
Very cool. I'm gonna go next because I wanted to race. I just couldn't. I went to a race. I watched some racing happen. We had the Gorge Gravel Grinder out in Dufur,
Oregon.
the last
amazing.
weekend. And I really wanted to go to that, and I didn't because it was my daughter's 17th birthday.
Wow.
And once all the dust settled, and once she moved her thing that she was doing from Sunday to Saturday, that opened up the day. But then I completely spaced on the fact that I was the support crew for the Y Racing Spring Classic Duathlon on Sunday. So
Pretty rainy and sloppy out there.
it was gross. Yeah, it kind of looked like a cyclocross race at some point in time in a couple different sections, but it was still fun. Got to watch. There was a lot of people from the team out there. I think there was probably 15 or 16 people from Dialed out there racing, and our own Jeremiah Romano ended up winning the overall, which was pretty cool to
He won
watch.
the overall. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was
Good for him.
He was moving fast.
Yeah, he's a stud. He's fun.
Yeah, they went out on the run, and he was probably about 20, maybe 30 seconds ahead of Scott Goodrich. Scott Goodrich came in.
Scott Goodrich got second?
Transition.
Third or something?
Second.
Came into transition on his bike, and Jeremiah was already out on the road and ran. I think he was probably fourth place at that point in time. And Scott ran his bike up to the road because it was a long run to get up the road, the way they had it set up this year. And they got on the bikes and they came back in. Scott probably put a minute into Jeremiah while on the bike. And so he was 30 seconds behind and came out about, 15 seconds. So maybe, it was 45 seconds of time to put him. But he came into transition first on the bike, went from fourth to first. Jeremiah came in second, was probably 10 or 15 seconds behind him, and came out of transition about 5 seconds before Scott. So really put it to him on that transition.
All about the transitions.
Went out on the run and came back about a minute and a half before him. So he had a spectacular second half run.
Nice.
Which was kind of cool to watch. So
congratulations.
Got to stand on the
all
stop set.
friends of the podcast.
Yes,
we'll have to have some of these people on the podcast.
Sure. But
and Jeremiah sporting a fabulous bushy handlebar mustache.
That was large and in charge.
Oh yeah, that's right. He mentioned
looked
that.
good.
Yeah.
It looked
He was
terrible.
like,
is what it
he was
looked.
like, I might have to keep this now.
Yeah. So I didn't get to race. That was kind of a crappy thing. And then Monday was the first PIR of the season. And those are such a tough day for me. I've got two kids that are heavily involved in sports right now. And the third one wasn't able to help out with playing taxi cab driver. My wife was stuck at work. And so I was busy playing
Driving.
Duber, Dad Uber.
Dad Uber.
Yep.
Driving kids around.
So, and just did all the other normal stuff, gravel rides and floggings and things of that nature. So
Did you get a decent weekend? Did you get 10 hours?
last week, no. I think I only ended up with like
There's probably some decent
7 or
quality,
8.
though.
Yeah, there's some good
decent
quality in there.
quality in there
This
and
week,
stuff.
this week will be much better. This week will be a 10-hour week, if not more. So
Nice.
But yeah, that's all boring stuff that nobody wants to hear about. Lance Hepler raced his bike a few
race
times.
a couple times?
I raced a couple times.
Are you back on this? Like I race 5 days a week.
Just if there's a race, let's go do it.
That you're on you're back on your old schedule.
Yeah, so that I completely fall apart by about August.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
That's probably what's going to happen.
And you've done well in some of your races, right?
I have, yeah. So I did the Gorge Gravel Grinder. This year they had a big grinder, a medium grinder, and a small grinder.
Right.
The big was like 92 miles and 8,000 feet. The medium was 66 miles and 5,000 feet or 5,500 feet. And the small was still 52 miles and 4,300 feet of climbing.
Wasn't the small grinder in years past like 35 miles?
Yes.
So they added some volume to that.
They added some volume to it.
That's
So it wasn't-
good.
It wasn't that much smaller.
Yeah, it wasn't that different from the medium.
No, it missed one little loop.
Sure.
In the first like 20 miles. So we started like the small grinder started like 50 minutes after the medium grinder. But we connected on the same course at like mile 12.
So you saw all those people.
And then we were all on the same course for the rest.
How's
for
the
the
course?
rest
Does
of
it get narrow or?
It doesn't. No, there's
Decent. Okay.
Yeah,
Because if it gets narrow and it's like, we've got all these people that were sent off, now they're coming onto the course and crowding up stuff. It could be frustrating. But
it was wide open gravel roads or wide open paved roads.
And you guys got a little bit of rain the night before
Right.
that like set up the ground to be hero dirt, perfect for the next day.
The conditions were as good as I've ever ridden in the gorge. I've ridden out on those roads quite a bit, and I've never had conditions that good. It was like 55 degrees. It sprinkled the night before. There was a tailwind for the whole huge climb.
nice.
Not a big tailwind, and there was no dust because the gravel was just like primo.
Yeah.
So the conditions were
You
just
did the-
like top notch.
Back to the different distance. You did the medium.
I did the small.
Oh, okay. I thought you did
Yeah.
the medium. Okay.
I decided to do the small like
works.
several months ago when I signed up because it sold out.
Yep.
There was 950 racers. There was 300 in the big, 350 in the medium, and another 300 in the small. So they were big fields.
You know what was nice? I kind of griped about this. I think it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago about their transfer policy. And I think in the podcast I mentioned that it was 12 days prior to the start of the race that they wouldn't let you transfer anymore, but it was actually 9 days was their protocol. And then there were some people that were trying to transfer some entries, and Lance even said, "Oh, hey, so and so's got a transfer." And I'm like, "I don't think you can do it." And sure enough, I went to the website, looked, highlighted the text, sent it back to Lance, and says 9 days before the start of the race, no more transfers. And we were at like 7 days, and we were like a week out. And I'm like, "Yeah, it's not going to work," because there was still the possibility that I was going to try and figure out a way to get out there before I remembered that I had other obligations. But they changed that, and I think it was maybe 5 days beforehand,
3 days or
something like that. They changed their whole protocol, their policy, and they started letting people transfer.
Yes.
Wow.
And I just wanted to say thank you. That was an excellent move. And I'm sure a lot of people were kind of griping about that because you have to sign up for this way in advance if you want to get a registration in there. And
Yes.
things
Stuff
happen.
changed.
Life happens.
Yep.
Things happen. And that's not a cheap entry by any means at all. It's close to 100? It's $100 and change.
Yeah.
I mean, it's starting to get into triathlon territory. And, they had a lot of people come out there. There's a lot of people that can't make it. And there's people that want to go race that are like, I can't get in. And there's people that I can't do it. Well, they connected those dots. And I just wanted to say, Breakaway Promotions, good on you. Good job.
That was a good change. So thank you.
Carry on. Sorry for the little.
No, it's all
Side
good.
rant.
So I ended up doing the small grinder. We had like a 3-mile neutral rollout, and then you stage for the start. Yeah, he actually stops you so that everybody catches up, and then he starts us all at the same time. And it starts with the steepest pitch on the whole course, this Endersley Cut climb or whatever, this Endersley Road. And Chad blew the whistle and took off, and me and 2 teammates immediately drilled it.
Was this climb gravel or was it
gravel?
Okay,
yeah,
make sure.
It was gravel, and so me and Randy Frost and Yanwan Su, we had kind of had this pre-plan to try to go as hard as we could up this first climb and try to get away from everybody else, because then there was going to be this long paved 1% downhill section that we just wanted to be able to work together to be able to do that. And so we drill it, we get over the top. It's a nice long bombing descent, and one guy from Seattle ended up making it with us. So, so me and Randy Frost, and actually Yanwan was like 20 seconds behind with the POA guy. And we worked together until we merged with the
60s
with
or the medios or the
medium
ground?
the medium grinders. And then once there, we caught up to a group of 10 or 12, and then we were pace lining for the next like 10 miles before we started the climbs. And this other guy, we both realized we were in the same division, and we knew that we were in the small grinder, and we knew we were out in the lead of the small grinder because nobody else had kind of gotten with us, and we were catching up to some of the faster people in the medium, not the real fast guys. They were way up the road.
Sure.
But some of the guys like in the top 10, 12,
Sure.
And so we caught up to them, and me and this other guy, his name was Doug.
Doug, yep.
Yeah, his name was Doug from Seattle.
Was he racing with a team or was he unattached?
He's with a team in Seattle, but he's a roadie. This was his first ever gravel event. He's like, there's gravel races everywhere. I got to come do one. So we decided to come do this one. And he was very cool, and he took his turns, taking pulls, and he was really good to work with. So that made it kind of fun. We were, 20 miles into the course, and we kind of had made not a truce, but we said, "Hey, I think you and I are way out in front, so let's stay together. And then when that big climb comes, we'll sort it out at the big climb. That will select us when we get to the big climb. Otherwise, let's just stay together and work together." He's like, "Yeah, I'm totally game for that." So we kind of stuck to that. We stayed together. We tried not to completely drop each other, in the stuff, because you get to the bottom of this climb and there's a 10-mile gravel climb, and it is it's kind of soul crushing. It's not very steep, but it just goes on and on and on. 10 miles.
How are the winds going into that?
The winds were a tailwind
Still going into that. So there's not much to gripe about there. You just hold your watts.
No, I was 14 minutes faster up that climb than I ever had been before. So
yay, tailwind.
Yes, yay tailwind. Yeah. It was kind of pleasant. But
did the KOM drop on that day?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm curious.
I don't know, because the tailwind wasn't that strong, and the gorge is known for its winds, so I'm sure somebody has drilled it. But I don't know if it did. It may have, because all the really, really fast guys were in the big grinder. So, but we hit the bottom of that climb, and there was a small downhill before we hit the bottom of that climb, and I had gapped Doug just a little bit before that. Just because I descend a little faster than most people. And we hit that climb, and I just kind of started drilling it. And I don't know, my legs felt good. I didn't fall apart. I was fueling well. It was only going to be a 2.5-hour race for me. So it was kind of seemed to be working out. And I ended up putting 6 minutes into Doug on the big climb. Wow. So kind of exciting. I got to the top and was able to kind of coast in, knowing that I had won the race, which was kind of exciting and very cool. I should say that I won the Masters Men division, but I did also beat the Open Men as well. However, partway up that final climb, a 56-year-old woman that was also in the small grinder went screaming past me
on a hot pink bike with streamers on there,
and she actually,
she's a world-class Masters triathlete.
Yeah, Juliet Hochman. Have you heard that name?
I feel bad that I don't know her.
She's a Portland triathlon coach and athlete, and she is
does a fair amount of road racing too, and she always handles her business in those races.
She's super fast, and she handily beat me in this race.
Super nice too. She's actually reached out, and she's done some stuff with our juniors in the past, which has been pretty cool.
When she caught me, she's like, I'm like, hey, this is it. There's nobody else in the small grinder ahead of us. So, and she's like, oh, fantastic. And so
you're like, let's work together. And she's like, sorry, no.
Well, we did work together for a little bit, but once we hit the bottom of that climb, it was like, I cannot stay with you. You are gone.
Yeah.
So good on you. So it was super exciting that I ended up winning the small grinder for Gorge Gravel Grinder. So
the team as a whole did really well out there.
There was probably 15 of us from the team all there doing the different courses. So we had a great time. Several of us were there the night before and pre-rode some of the stuff and had a great night. And then the event was put on really well, and the chip timing, and there was live entertainment, and the food was great, and the sun came out at the end. It just ended up being a fantastic, great day.
Yeah.
So that made for very fun. So a lot of teammates were there. A lot of teammates did very well. Yanwan Su ended up winning the Open Men, so he won his division. Ian Gibson did the medium grinder, and there was an over 60 division, and he won that.
Yeah.
And so, it was exciting. Who else?
Julia Barna.
Julia Barna. She did the small grinder with us, and she won the...
I think that she was like easily top 10 for the Open Women as a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
But she did win the juniors division handily.
Division.
I don't know if there's many other in there, but long story short, she's getting strong.
Yes.
That Barna family, they're getting strong.
That's pretty cool.
And David had he was out there, he raced, he did the big grinder, and he kind of told me about how he tried to stay with the lead group on the climb, and he just wasn't making his normal watts, so his watts per kilogram were a little bit lower than he wanted to, and he got detached, and he was riding in no man's land for a while, and then the chase group caught him, and then he broke away from him again and was in no man's land. He wasn't really happy about it, and he had a goal time, I think, of... what was it, about 4 hours and 50 minutes, I think is what his goal time was. He finished at 4:52, and a lot of that work that he did was by himself.
A lot by himself.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And he's tuning his engine right now for Unbound as well, the 200 variety on that.
Yep.
But he did super well. His son is off at Purdue right now, triathlon kind of stuff, and he's really, I think he's starting to get away from the triathlon based stuff and really just focusing in on the cycling stuff. But he's 18, 19 years old. He's supposedly got an FTP now of north of 375.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so Julia, his daughter, is like, and she's
on it too,
ferociously competitive, and she's getting stronger and faster, and shows up to a lot of stuff and does really well as well. So that family's doing good stuff.
Yeah, it's all very exciting.
Ed Dudluck was out there.
Ed Dudluck was out there.
Yep.
I just about caught him at the end of when he finished. He finished like 20 seconds in front of me.
Was he doing the?
He was doing the medium.
Medium. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he would have done the long
Me
one.
too.
Well, he actually he had a hotel in the Dalles. He rode his bike from the Dalles to Doofer, which is like 15 miles.
Okay.
And then did the 66-mile race and then rode back from Doofer to the Dalles. So he did ride 100 miles, but he didn't do the big grinder.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So kind of funny.
Well done, everyone.
Yeah. So fantastic. It was a good day for me.
And then what'd you do the next day?
So the next day, Monday, was the first PIR race
Yep.
that Jake mentioned. It was like 55 degrees and partly sunny. There was a little drizzle at the start, but I decided, what the hell, I'm going to go down there and just see if I can sit in the group. So there were a ton of people there. It was great showing for the first road race.
They changed the format in that it used to be just a Masters only race, but it was Masters 30 and plus.
Correct.
So they changed it now. It's just anybody, right?
So now it's open to any age. There's a 4-5 race and there's a 1-2-3 race. So there's a men's and a women's 4-5 and 1-2-3 race on both. And there's a novice race and there's a kids race and there's a track race. Anyway, like a track bike.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question about that. Does it have to be a true fixie track bike, or can you ride a single speed?
I have no idea.
I think it's just a track bike, if my memory serves me correct.
Just a track bike,
Which,
fixie track bike. Yeah.
A fixie track bike means that there's no back pedal on it. So like when you stop pedaling, it still pedals.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that had those bikes that would go race at Alpenrose when that was still open and they were racing the velodrome there. That's gone now. They've tore all of, I think it's still in place, but they've stopped racing there.
Correct.
They're tearing it down. They're going to build a bunch of houses, like a bunch of jackholes. And we don't have a velodrome anywhere near us now. It's up in Seattle. I think that's the closest one. So nobody's going to drive 3 hours to go up to Seattle. So that's going to be a dying breed here. Do you think it behooves them just to change it to single speed as opposed to fixie?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I think that that's something they might want to consider doing.
There was 4 people in it, I think, this week. So there was a few, and it was early. It was like 5:15, and that's hard for people to get to.
If you're cruising the bicycle classifieds, like for the last 2 years, everybody's been dumping their
track bikes.
Yeah. So no, that's kind of a bummer that happened, and it's a bummer that category is dying down because it at one point in time had a lot of people. But if they just made it a single speed category, I think that they'd probably get some people out there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got all these diatribes today, these little tangents.
It's all good.
Go ahead, finish out your race there.
Okay, so I'm still a category 4 on the road. I do not have many.
Sandbagger.
I do not have many road results, so I'm still a 4. So now they have an open division, which is any age group, and then they have a 45 to no. It's an open division and a 50-plus division. That's it.
And they all race together, but they're scored separately.
But they're scored separately.
Okay.
So I raced the 4-5 group. There was like 60 of us in the race, which is great.
Yeah.
60 of us all together, all mixed in. We had 7 or 8 teammates that were all there. But first race, nobody knew what each other could do.
Yep.
Everybody was hard to get organized. Team Oregon was trying very hard to stay organized for one of their protected guys. We didn't really have a protected guy. We were just trying to figure out, let's just do this and see how it goes.
Shake off all the rust.
Yeah, shake off all the rust. Yep. So regardless, I ended up staying with the group not fairly easily, but it came down to the final sprint, and I was like 9th across the line overall out of everybody, and I ended up being the first 50-plus across the field.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you said that there was one preem in that race when you and I spoke about the race
There was.
afterwards. Did we not get any points?
We did not.
Where did you come in at with respect
In the
to your
preem,
Yeah.
like 5th.
So you didn't get any preem points.
I
So
got no
it came
preem
down to the
points.
final sprint. Did you get enough points to get the overall win for the 50 plus?
Yes.
So you won.
Yes.
Congratulations, Lance
Yes.
Hepler.
So I did end up
You won the
winning.
old man group.
I won the old man group. But I didn't know because I didn't know who else was 50. I knew one guy. He's a good friend of mine, James Green.
Mm-hmm.
He's on Trusty Switchblade. We both know each other. We've raced a lot together, and
Yeah.
we knew that we were both 50. He was the only guy that I knew was 50. So I'm like, James, we just got to look at each other. He's like, okay, let's just look at each other. And so I ended up beating him in the final sprint, barely.
Gotcha.
So-
Was Team Wilbar's not a team anymore?
They're
correct?
not.
I'm sure that
There's a new team called Team Forza, and I think a lot of the
Wilbar
guys went to
gotcha.
Team Forza.
So I think Eric Anderson's like a friend. He's a friend of ours that
Yes.
was racing for Wilbar, but he is a diehard for all things PIR and crits and all that
Yes.
stuff. And he's going to be in that age bracket too, like with Ian. Like they do a lot of racing.
But he's a 3, so he was in the other race.
He was okay.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
So
I
in
was
the
curious how he
1-2-3
did.
race, it had like 70 people in it,
Wow.
big group.
Yep.
POA had like 12 guys there. They attacked from the gun and then attacked when that got brought back. And then when that got brought back, somebody else attacked again.
Like you do when you got the numbers.
Yes.
Yep.
But Felipe Nystrom ended up winning the race.
Oh, he did? Went out and surfed some wheels.
Yeah, so he surfed the wheels with no teammates and did just fine. It was great fun. I don't think there were any wrecks. There were no crashes.
Oh, good.
It was a big turnout.
I was a little
weather
nervous about
great.
that because you get a lot of like grease stuff coming up off the
Yeah.
tarmac. You got goose poop out there this time of year. You mix in a little bit of drizzle with that, and it just spells recipe for disaster.
In the 4-5 race, because it's open to all ages, there were some teenagers in there that were
Squirrely.
squirrely.
Yeah.
And I noticed that in the first couple laps where I was sitting around 30th or 40th just trying to
Yeah.
save my legs. And after that, I moved up to like top
Yeah.
10 just to stay away because there was some squirreliness back there.
Yeah, and well,
And people just got to learn.
as the veteran riders, it's on you to talk to those kids and coach them along a little bit. It's like, hey,
Just hold this. Just hold that line.
hold that
Yeah,
line.
hold it. Yeah.
protect your front wheel,
Yep.
relax, breathe, watch your lines.
Yep.
You know, teach them the little things to help them flow a little bit faster, and it's going to make it a safer race for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
It was fun. I had a lot more fun. It was really nerve-wracking at the beginning because there's a lot on the line. You can
For
crash.
overall results for that race that you were in, did you rank or did you finish the highest out of everybody on the team?
Yeah.
Oh, good job, dude.
Yeah. Thank you.
I got to figure out my schedule. I got to
Yes, you do.
got to come out and help you guys out.
Well, you would be in the 1-2-3 race. And then
Yeah, that's true, huh?
We had 3 or 4 guys. Paul was in the 1-2-3 race. Laura Mullen raced with the men.
Pierce Bessinger.
Pierce Bessinger, which he has sprint legs.
Yep.
And so, so it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go sit on some POA wheels and see
Yep.
if I can get towed around.
Yep. That's basically what I did, is just tried to stay near the front and then try to get myself in the right location. It was
Cool. Good
I'm
times.
gonna quit talking. That's a lot of talking.
All right. Anything
Did
else?
a lot of
That's
racing.
it.
Did a lot of racing.
I did a lot of racing.
That's good.
Or you probably save this for your one last thing. So we'll move on.
Champ.
I'm all about having fun. Get a couple of cocktails in me.
Champ Bailey, you still all about having fun?
Champ is right here,
He's here.
and he's dead serious now. No fun. Screw fun.
He's here. He's serious. It's all business.
So back to the last monument for the year. Actually, this last week we had Flèche Wallonne on Wednesday and Liège-Bastogne-Liège on Sunday. Yeah. And Pogačar was trying to be the first one in several years since Philippe Joubert won all 3 of these monuments in 1 week, and he won the first 2. And in Liège-Bastogne-Liège, once the live images came up, Pogačar had already crashed out.
Yep.
Yeah. I was wondering because I have no idea when it happened. But it must have been early.
It happened at like in 80 Ks into a 260K race, and there's no video of it.
Supposedly somebody hit something, double flatted, went down, took him out, and he fell and broke his wrist.
He broke his wrist, and he broke a couple bones in his wrist.
Yeah.
And he had surgery that afternoon in Ghent, Belgium. And so he's on the mend. It's actually not too much of a bad thing for him. He was going to take a rest week anyway, but it makes it a little sketchy for his Tour de France prep, but it's a broken wrist, and you can do work on a trainer just fine.
Right. If he didn't have any soft tissue damage, and if it's just broken stuff that they've now like pinned together or whatever they're going to do, that's going to expedite the healing process. And if he doesn't have the connective tissue damage, soft tissue damage, that's not going to take nearly as long to heal. So 6 weeks, he should be fully cast free, and I'm sure he's going to have the best therapist working with him in the world. So he's not going to lose this range of motion, and they're going to take all the precautions. And I think he's going to be just fine. If nothing else, he might have some really fresh, really peaked legs for the tour, because we've still got quite a bit of time. I mean, we're creeping up on the beginning of May, so we've got 2 months.
They're worried that it was going to get in the way of his altitude training camp. And they're saying now it probably won't get in the way of his altitude training camp. Yeah. So we'll see. He was going to go to the Sierra Nevada area.
Yeah, in southern Spain. Yeah.
So
Sierra Nevada, California?
No,
that's what I was thinking.
Southern
it's
Spain.
Southern Spain.
It's southern Spain. Yeah.
Okay.
Like Mallorca or something like that? Or
it's not Mallorca. It's on the mainland of Spain.
Oh,
right.
It's like
but
top
it's
secret or something like that?
No, it's just the southern portion of Spain. It's also called the Sierra Nevada.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought he was like coming to the U.S.
He's not coming to the U.S. Yeah.
Because I saw
Sierra
that.
Nevada's
There's
Spain.
a lot of snow up on our Sierra Nevada right now.
Yeah.
Got like 600 inches of snow up there still.
Yeah. Anyway, so with Pogacar crashed out, our best friend Remco Evenepoel did exactly what he did last year and attacked
Big
with
six.
30K to go, and he ended up winning. So he won pretty handily.
He looked pretty safe.
He did look, and he looked good. I mean, he had just come from altitude camp. He was raring to go. So he ended up winning. So it was kind of exciting.
It would have been fun to watch them really battle.
It would have been. It would have been a very good battle, but maybe Remco paid somebody to double flat in front of Pogacar.
Yeah.
I'll shut up now.
I want to see him run his mouth and some big cyclocross Grand Tour guy just go flick him off like a little flea.
Exactly.
Shut up, Evenepoel.
That would be great. So what else happened this last week? We did have the Lifetime Grand Prix Fitness had their first race.
Sea Otter.
At Sea Otter. It was a 100K mountain bike race, which really wasn't that technical, and it was super fast. And it came down to Keegan Swenson and Russell Finsterwald, who were together for the last several miles. Keegan didn't break away, and Keegan was sitting on Russell's wheel for the last mile and out sprinted him at the line. So they were literally 2 seconds apart or something like that in this 62-mile mountain bike race. So kind of exciting. So it was a good start. No major issues.
Keegan's the one that we ran into out at training camp, and you thought that his buddy that was with him was Finsterwald, but it wasn't. It was
Tobin Ortenblad,
and you called Tobin Finsty, and
then he looked
that was a
at
fun
me.
exchange.
Yeah.
I gotta imagine that Keegan's got to be a favorite for that series.
He won it. He won 4 out of the 6 races last year, and so he won it handily last year.
It's gonna be more competition this year.
They added more people, and the competition is stiffer.
Yeah,
and the level of athlete has raised a little bit this year, and people will be gunning for him. But
he also won Leadville, which is not a part of the
It is part.
Oh, it is.
Yes.
Okay, I thought that wasn't for some reason, but
it is part.
I remember watching that at team camp.
Steamboat is not a part.
Okay, maybe that's what it is. But he was going to be the first. He was on track to be the first person to ever finish it in under 6 hours, and he finished it 6 hours on the dot plus 3 seconds or something like that.
He missed it by a few seconds.
It was just seconds. I'm no,
it's just seconds away.
Yeah, hell of an athlete.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
Yep.
So great racing, great stuff. What else happened this last week? We had this positive test in pro triathlon,
which we mentioned. That's what every triathlete is talking about right now.
Yeah, they're all hyped up on it.
They're all hyped up.
His name was
Colin
Chartier,
yeah.
and he was third last year, and he won some prize money and some big stuff.
Yeah, he won the PTO, the Professional Triathlete Organization, like U.S. championship.
He was the U.S. champion in 2022,
yeah. That was
he won
$100,000 purse.
Yeah. And he won Ironman Mont Tremblant.
He won Mont Tremblant, and he won one other big race. He had a really good season last year, but that was all clean, of course. And then he started taking drugs, and then he got popped.
He was taking EPO,
so he needs to keep his prize money.
Yes, right, because he was clean when he won those races.
He was clean when he won those.
Already spent it on EPO. Yep.
Yeah.
That's where he got his financing from. There you go.
There you go.
So he got a 3-year ban, but he has come out and said that this is the end of my professional triathlon career. He just said it. He also did not. He didn't make like excuses.
No.
He
owned
admitted
it.
it.
Yeah,
he
just
owned it.
Yep.
Yeah, he said, yes, I was struggling, so I decided to make this terrible decision. I took EPO. Yes, I cheated, and I accept the ban, and I am done with pro triathlon.
How old is he?
29.
29, and he literally just hung it up. He's done.
Yeah.
So
that's what he said.
God, there's got to be a big cloud that's going to hang over you of embarrassment and shame. That's
the big thing. Is like, well, let's like people are just dogging him right now. The whole triathlon community, but like you also don't want to kick a guy when he's down. I mean, he screwed up. It's not good for our sport at all, but you just don't want the guy to like off himself with just like a serious.
Yeah, there's a path back to redemption, and it just really boils down to like what kind of stuff you're willing to do during that 3-year time period, and how you're gonna make amends for it.
He said that like if there's any sort of talks that he can give to youth about the risks of performance enhancing drugs, like he's willing to do all of that stuff. Yeah, at the same time, I think. I think we'll probably. My expectations is that we won't hear from him again. He's just quietly be gone.
Just done.
Yeah.
Wonder what he's going to be doing now. That 100,000 is only going to last for so long, right?
Find a job.
Yeah.
No one. If you're an accountant, no one cares if you
get into the medical industry. Yeah. There
you go. Medical. He's got medical history, medical experience.
I forgot to mention the women's results at Sea Otter. And that was won by Sofia Gomez Villafane. So
nice.
And I believe she's Keegan's girlfriend.
Your rumor starter.
I'm pretty sure they are together.
You're starting rumors.
I think they're a couple. But Sophia won, and she just won by a few seconds over Alexis Scarda and Vera Loser. So anyway,
nice.
I didn't want to miss that either.
When is the next
So the next race is Unbound.
Okay.
So that's June 3rd.
Okay.
In Kansas. It is the 200-mile race in Kansas.
Yeah. How did ex-show person to come on guest for us, Dylan Johnson, do?
Interestingly enough,
I think at 20th or something.
He had a bad race. 30th.
Oh, 30th. That's right.
He went faster
That's what he said.
than last year and was 30th. And last year he was like in the top 15.
Yeah.
So that just shows you how much the level of athlete has leveled up.
Are there that many new faces in there, or did the athletes that were there last year just get stronger and faster?
No,
or is it both?
There were like 10 athletes that did not get reaccepted. And so they added like 15 more athletes that were higher caliber.
Any notable names, any ex-pros or anybody that we would know from past racing?
Yeah,
probably.
There was a bunch, and I'm not going to remember them right now.
We don't know them, but yes, we would know them.
So Valverde is in the gravel scene now. We've talked about that recently. That he retired from the Pro Peloton and said he was going to go race for Movistar's gravel squad.
Yeah.
By chance, do you know if he was?
No, he's not in there.
Okay.
It'd be interesting if he came to Unbound or something like that. He's just he's a big name.
Yeah.
It's been around forever.
You got to wonder too. I mean, we know that Peter Sagan's going to go do the mountain biking stuff, but I think he's going to dip his toe into the gravel scene too, right?
That would be great. I mean,
he might.
Unbound could be really neat to see what happens. If there's if there's a handful of ex-pros. I find it very interesting to see how like the dynamics of the race are going to go. Is there going to be like a huge draft pack and no one's willing to push in a big race like that? I don't even know if are they going to, what are the rules on aero bars?
If there are no more.
No aero bars at Unbound?
No aero bars and Unbound. I think that whole Lifetime Fitness, they bound them. I don't think you're allowed to use them anymore.
Or you can use them
Last year you could use them in Unbound.
I think
sure?
the new rule.
Yes.
I think the new rule is you can't use them if you're a pro. You can use them if you're.
That might be the case.
I think that's the new rule. But anyway, that's still interesting, like the whole thing. But then you have all these people mixed, right? So you still could have Aero Bar mixed in with the pro athletes that are in contention. Right. So that will be fun to. I mean, that's televised.
Yes,
sort of.
Kind of. They didn't really have.
They tried on Flow Bikes, right? Was that the one that they tried?
They did, and so this year was not on Flow Bikes.
The connectivity is really tricky.
The live updates were only by Instagram story this time. So they had people following the women's race and people following the men's race, and they was just snippets on Instagram stories.
And when is that race?
Which one?
Unbound.
June 3rd.
Okay.
First Saturday in June.
Aero bars have been banned by the elite fields, or for the elite fields in Unbound. So just confirmation there.
So new athletes this year in this series, people like Matthew Beers, former world champion mountain biker from South Africa. Eric Bruner, former national cyclocross champion. Kerry Werner is in there this year. Yep. Who else? Brendan Johnston, who is a huge motor. Brendan Wirtz, who won... I think a couple of the races at Rebecca's Private Idaho last year. These are all new people that weren't in it the year before. So there's
some heavy hitters.
There's some heavy hitters.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's good for the sport.
It is good for the sport.
It's good for the sport.
What's the size of the field for
35.
just 35? So
for the pro field.
Yeah. 35 men and 35 women.
For the series.
For the series.
Yeah.
Yes. And you can get into the races otherwise. I mean, anybody can, not anybody, but pros can.
If you finish in that bottom tier part of that, is there a chance that they're not going to invite you back? I mean, do you have to earn? Do you have to be at a certain station? And
they haven't said that.
Is it just a completely subjective thing where they just say, "Sorry, you don't get in, and we've got bigger names. They're going to take your spot."
That's up to Lifetime Fitness.
Wow.
Yeah. They get to decide who gets in it. When they accept you into Lifetime Fitness, it covers your race entries for all 7 races.
Right.
And that's new. And you're eligible for the prize money. So and it's like $250,000 that they split between everybody. So it's a big prize purse. So it's a big deal to get into it. And last year they weren't sure if how many they should have in it and how it was going to work, and they're kind of tweaking a little bit. So it should be a very exciting thing. But it goes for 7 months.
Yeah,
is it like a race a month for 7 months? Right. So it makes it interesting. And this year, I think it's your 5 best results. So there's 7 races, and it's your 5 best results.
And you said you're going to Unbound.
I'm going to Unbound.
Are you racing?
I am racing the 100. I'm not doing the 200 because.
Right, okay. It's probably still hard to even get into the 100.
It was a lottery. I just got lucky. I got picked.
And then you're going after that to Arkansas? Where are you going?
Asheville, North Carolina.
Asheville, North Carolina. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good times will be had. It's a big trip.
Fun.
Champ out. That's too much.
Champ Bailey out.
Awesome. All right. Let's just jump into one last thing.
One last thing.
Yeah. We did our back pedals. We did the champ. Got the one last things. Matt LeGrand.
I always have a video, and this past week was the Stages Dash L200. How many of you guys watched that video?
I'd watched the whole thing.
Did you really?
I watched the whole thing.
I was expecting all hands to just drop.
I haven't been on the trainer this week, so I haven't been able to watch it.
Okay, so I posted this video thinking it would bomb because I just don't think there was a ton of interest. It did okay.
Oh, really?
Probably got 1,000 views or something like that. It's not bad.
And
people just want to know: is this better? Is this going to be? Is this a game changer? Is it going to be big?
It's not.
It's not.
It's a 2.7-inch screen. It's a beautiful screen, color screen. The UI is okay, not great.
Ergonomics look okay. Though.
Ergonomics
it's got the button
kind of like
structure.
Wahoo.
It's actually got more buttons than Wahoo. It's
and
like one more button, I think.
It's got one more button than Wahoo, so it must be better. I think that it's. I just think that it's kind of it's a touch behind it. It does all the things. It's kind of the way I describe it in the video. It's like it checks all the boxes, but it just doesn't like I don't know. It's not like pushing the envelope on like there's some cool
What's
feature.
the cost on that bad boy?
$330.
$330, and it would be in the same category as like an 840 or a Rome.
I would. It's very similar
size-wise?
to a Rome.
Yeah,
like the Rome and this are like little twins,
cousins,
from different mothers and
brothers from different mothers. Yeah,
it's an odd bit that it looks so much like the Rome and it feels like the Rome and things like that. It's maybe a touch heavier. I don't know. I'd have to actually look at the numbers.
How do you like the mapping on it?
It's okay. There's some things I like about it. It looks like direction wise, it looks a little bit better. I wasn't able to get rerouting to work at all. I wasn't able to get any cues for turns at all. I wasn't, when I went off course, it said that I went off course, but it didn't tell you like I was trying to get it to say like, okay, turn, this way and you can get back on course. None of that.
Didn't say you're getting warmer, you're getting colder, warmer.
Nothing.
Huh?
It was just like,
all right.
We got the map, and the map looked good. Hill climbing feature looked good. You have to have routes programmed in to get the hill climbing feature, which is how it is on Wahoo as of now. I just feel like they're gonna be a little while before they catch up.
How do you like the app?
It's okay. It didn't I wasn't able to I say it's okay. It was not good.
It's better than Hammerhead's app.
It's better than not having an app at all.
Hammerhead does not have an app.
But this one, the data just failed to sync, the whole time. It'd be like, you got this app, that's great. That data's not coming over.
This isn't working.
But it did have Wi-Fi, so all my data would immediately show up. Like you come home, it goes up to Strava, no problem. So that was cool. You don't really, good that you don't need the app because the app didn't work. Everything worked on the app, but it didn't ever sync the data in. And so, I don't know.
Probably would have been a great computer 5 or 6 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's probably, I should have said that. I should always talk about these things on the podcast and then figure out how I should do the video. But yeah, it would have been a great computer 5 years ago. It would have been spot on with a Roam from then. But now the bar keeps going up, and Wahoo has their big announcement coming. Well, they've already announced it. They've got a May release date.
Yep.
We think it's May 2nd or something.
Yeah, just firmware. It's not new hardware.
Firmware update to be able to do the Free Ride Climb Pro.
Correct.
It should be called Summit segments, but
Free Ride Summit whatever.
Yeah,
it'll show the climbs
without
having a route.
Which for me, I very rarely program in a ride unless I'm like, I need to test programming in a ride. That's the only time I would do it.
Oh.
Otherwise, I just go out the door and go. And for flogging ride, you know where you're going.
All right,
you don't need any turns, but would you program in the route just to get the data?
But every time I'm in a new place, I'm loading a route.
Yep.
And during races, I load routes.
So you can use that climbing feature.
So that I can see the climbing feature.
But tonight, it'd be great to have that little climbing screen on there tonight for the flogging ride. You don't need the routes, but you would be happy if it flipped over to the climbing screen automatically.
Yeah.
Which it will do starting a week from now. Yeah. Just a matter of...
For routes that you do over and over and over again, you don't necessarily need that. But like Lance said, for racing, for different kind of training purposes, sometimes you want to have it. But when we do a lot of team rides where we'll go do a ride somewhere, or training camp, or someone's going to put on a ride that you've never done before. And when you're going to a team ride, it's pretty much going to be getting your backside handed to you. We're going to go beat the snot out of each other because nobody goes easy on those. So you want to know how to pace yourself, and that makes a huge difference.
It does.
Yeah. If it's telling you you're a third of the way done, this is how much you got left, here's how many kickers you still have in here, with the average grading, this is about what time you're going to finish, you're going to know how to pace yourself versus not having that, riding blindly. You're going to blow up if you're going to try and go too hard. You can conserve, because if it's saying, all right, you're on climb 3 of 11 and this is going to be a half mile long and you're going to pace yourself right.
It's also interesting to see, because all of these are basically the computer's figuring out how long the climb is and where the climb ends. And you guys know how that is. It's sometimes there's, you climb up a hill and then there's a slight downhill and then another hill or whatever. Is that all considered one hill? And each brand is going to do that slightly differently. Now we're talking about Hammerhead, Karoo, Wahoo, and Garmin. If you had all three and you were comparing them, they're all going to show you the top of the hill at different points.
Yeah.
I think that Wahoo, from what I've seen, is going to do it the best. That's a hot take from an untested.
We shall find out.
We shall find out.
Yeah.
None of us were privileged enough to get the beta.
I feel like you guys
update.
are going to be very happy with that update because you guys prefer Wahoo devices. So,
I still haven't had a chance to play with the 840 and the 540 yet. They seem awfully intriguing.
Yeah.
That 840 has been the darling of all of the new computers that came out. The non-solar version has been
this is the one I thought
hands down has been
ticket.
a hot ticket.
Are you going to ride with two computers tonight like a nerd? Don't do it.
Don't do it, huh?
Don't go looking like don't go looking like DC Raymond. What about you? Yes?
I don't know.
Two bike computers tonight?
Maybe. And one in my back pocket.
You could do that.
Lance and I are getting ready to start testing for a video, and we're going to be riding with three computers for a while. So it's going to be interesting to say the least. And you're going to do the same. So maybe we all need to go nerd out and do it together and start.
We can bring cameras. Could be a good time.
Great stuff, Matt. Thank you. Lance?
What am I doing this
One last
week?
thing?
One last thing. Is that what we're at already?
Same diff.
I'm racing my bike this weekend.
Sure you are.
Big surprise. There is the third race in the Oregon XC mountain bike series this week out in Newport, Oregon. It's a cross-country mountain bike race, and I'm going to go...
That
light it
usually
up.
gets a little snotty out there, doesn't it? But you're going to have nice weather, and it's been nice all week. Do you think
There's a
it'll
chance
dry
of
up?
rain on Sunday, but not much, and it's supposed to be dry out there all week. So hopefully it's not as soupy, mucky as it has been the last 2 years.
It gets greasy out there, doesn't it?
It
Like
does.
slippery.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, hopefully it's got some good conditions for you. And that's on Sunday, right?
It's on Sunday.
Same day as the
Banana Belt.
which is my one last thing.
Oh, cool.
There is a road bike race this weekend that is pretty beloved. It's been a race in Oberst Pass that was brought back last year by Team Oregon, and it was really well received. We had a great group of people in our team that showed up with some decent results, and this is year 2 of them putting it on, and it is this coming Sunday. I think that if you are local and you own a road bike and you have nothing going on, or even if you've got some plans that you can change, think about considering registering for that and going out and racing your bike. Because you know what? We don't have a lot of road races on the calendar. And if we don't support them, they're just all going to go away. I can only hope that road bike racing kind of has its little bit of a renaissance. It's really hard right now because a lot of people are opting to go race off-road and most notably gravel stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are going and trying the mountain bike scene too. So just not having very many road races to begin with, people are trying different disciplines and that's pulling people away. And, you know, the fact that road racing is not dying, but it's just not growing right now because of all of the issues that you potentially run into when you're out there on the road, and people are wanting to do that less and less. And the roadies are turning into gravelers and whatnot. They're just not doing it. That's kind of a bummer. And we don't want road racing to die because it's so fun.
It is.
And we need to do our best to keep those on the calendar.
I really hope that it's well attended.
Yeah. I'm sure it will. It's going to be great weather-ish. It's out there at Hag Lake, and that's a fun venue to ride at. It's rolly. There's not any long climbs. There's some rollers for sure, but it's a really good course for a lot of different people. Should consider doing that. Matt, you want to go race bikes on Sunday?
I am on Kid Patrol.
Oh, Kid Patrol, huh?
It's a dad weekend. I got no help.
All right. Well, I have not even registered myself, but that is the plan, to go out there and do something to try and hold. What are you looking at there? Is that the red
people?
These are the start list. So there's probably 100 or 150 people that have already registered. So that's a good start.
Good job.
It's a good start, but you know, it'd be fantastic to see well over 200 people out there racing. So, I mean, how many people do we have at PR in total? It was close to 200 maybe.
Yeah, it was probably 150.
Is that
on
including
Monday
the
night?
novice and the juniors
it's
and
probably
the track
150.
guys?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
And because sometimes there's 50 people there total.
Yeah. And that's what's really grabbing me.
Yeah, when the weather's not good. But so there was a lot.
Anyway, consider going racing your bike this weekend. Should be a lot of fun. Anything else, boys?
That's it.
All right. We will be back next week with another one of these. And until then, bye for now.